We want to turn to you, actually, Brian, about the effect of all of what's going on, the drama, I think it's fair to say, over at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and what that might mean for some of the banking deregulation initiatives that are so important to the industry.
Well, as we've talked about in the past, it's a two-tier. There's the regulatory track, and that stays on track because that doesn't need Congress. Then there's the legislative track, and that's in mortal danger right now. The idea, you had Senator McConnell on yesterday and talking about changes to Dodd-Frank. That looks like it's fading fast. Tax reform, I think, is in real trouble right now. So the Trump legislative agenda is being drowned by this steady drip, drip, drip of crisis coming out of the White House.
So, Brian, as you say, we did have the majority leader on yesterday, and he said he would very much like to have really some fundamental changes in Dodd-Frank, but he would need Democrats. When you say that this is getting off track, that is to say the legislative part of deregulation for banks, is that because the Democrats just won't play, or is it because there's too many distractions right now for the White House?
It was already an uphill battle beforehand. Just as a primer for some viewers who may not be familiar, you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass most legislation. And the Dodd-Frank changes would require 60. That means Republicans are going to have to get 8 Democratic senators. There was always going to be a tough hill, a high hill to climb. The current crisis, the current steady flow of crisis coming out of the White House makes that even tougher. At this point, Democrats are looking forward to 2018. They're seeing their chances of regaining Congress go up every day. Republicans are probably going to be running scared over the next few weeks. So getting those 8 Democrats that you need to pass legislation, the 8 Democrats that Republicans would need to collaborate with them, is probably a bridge too far.
So, Brian, if in the end it proves to be too difficult, given the climate, to get the big changes made in Dodd-Frank, are there lesser changes that still could get through this Congress? For example, the point at which something is designated a SIFI, a systemically important financial institution, could that be done by the Democrats and Republicans together?
I've been cautiously optimistic for that limited change in Dodd-Frank, and I've made an argument that actually it could fit in a reconciliation bill, which is a whole separate conversation. But I think the governing by crisis, the daily flow of scandal coming out of the White House, makes even modest changes, bipartisan changes, like changing the SIFI threshold, tougher and tougher. So I'm growing more pessimistic that Congress is going to raise the SIFI threshold, and that's a negative really for a lot of regional and large community banks that are looking to break above the $50 billion mark.
So, Brian, you know Washington. You follow it closely. What is the chance that actually we're caught up in the moment of this story, which is very, very hot here in Washington, hot in the media, and that with time this could be put behind us and we can get back on track with more fundamental changes? I mean, particularly if there is something like a select committee that looks into this, puts it behind them.
Well, that's why I said in a note to clients overnight that I think talk of impeachment is premature, and I don't want to get caught up in the moment. However, and we are early in a Trump administration, but the Trump administration, the president himself, has not shown an ability to learn from past mistakes. They are compounding their mistakes. So, yes, we might be getting caught up in the moment, but it's very tough at this point to see a White House that's ready to reorganize, put this behind them, put out a public apology, and then follow the apology with a new course of action and a new modus operandi under which they act in a more normal fashion. They were elected, the president was elected to stir things up in Washington, and he surely is, but it's not in a way that's accomplishing anything. I don't see them learning the lessons that they need to learn. So I don't think we're just getting caught up in the moment. I think we're heading down a path that's going to lead to a couple of years of gridlock.